because we're live, Jillian.
Okay, you guys are live now.
How was it, guys?
All right, so go and listen on Facebook. Is that where they listen or watch?
Yes.
Yeah, Facebook. They're going to watch.
We're on Facebook, YouTube. All those little symbols down in the lower left right there. We're at those places. I can't tell you what the V stands for, but our board here at Live Reality Games is teaching us a lot of stuff. I know it's Discord, Reddit, and there's one more under that. But welcome, everybody, to the Season 41 Survivor Draft and Recap. We are here live, ready to go. And I'm so stoked. This was so fun to watch. I'm your co-host tonight for episode 1/2. I don't know. 2 people were voted out, so we'll talk about that in a second. My name's Kirk. I played a bunch of games. I host Adventure Coco Pele. And with me tonight is the incomparable King Lance. Welcome.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me. I'm excited to talk Survivor and talk a little bit about what brings us all here.
Absolutely. And Lance is a LRG legend. He's won multiple games, and you're going to see him up and coming in the cast for Live to Give, which is going to come out very soon. And this is something that ties us all together, the 3 of us here, is that we all love reality charities. And we're going to talk a little bit about that before we get rolling, because I think that brings the fun to a game like Survivor, is when you're giving back to the community. But with us, the guest of honor tonight, we're so honored. With us is Jillian Larson from Survivor Gabon. Welcome.
Let's go.
Guys. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited about being on. So thank you.
And we're so privileged. Thank you for taking the time, because right now, if you didn't see earlier, Jillian's at a party with like 15 people outside. You're all having a good time watching Survivor.
Everybody was having a ball, and as with when I was on the 2-hour premiere, I was able to answer questions during the commercials. So it was a lot of fun, and there are a great bunch of people. I'm in Boston right now, so it's people in Boston.
Oh, that's awesome! So cool. So one thing that ties us, the 3 of us together, is we all happen to be at a Survivor charity known as Survival Challenge in 2018 or
2019?
Yeah, 2019. And Jillian was a special guest at the event. Lance played in Survival Challenge, and I got to be the guy behind the camera talking nonstop to all of you. That was a blast. But we've done different charities. I want to take a moment to talk. If you look down in the lower right, there's a symbol that says Reality Rally. And this is probably one of the big dogs of all of the reality charities that are out there. This has been run by Jillian for how many years now?
Well, we were supposed to do our 10th year in 20, but COVID had a different idea for us. And 21, COVID had a different idea for us. So essentially, we did it for 9 years, and we booked the first weekend of May for next year, in hopes that COVID's going to just back down and let us do it. So yes, thank you for that. But obviously, I'll tell you more about it. But before I get carried away, Reality Rally would still be an idea in my head in the jungle of Gabon after I was booted off Survivor, if it wasn't for the amazing people, reality stars, sponsors, volunteers, everybody that gets together and helps make it happen. So yeah, it's due to everybody that it works.
It's so good to hear that. And Reality Rally is a fundraiser for Michelle's Place, which makes such a difference for cancer awareness, breast cancer awareness, people that live with this. It comes close to my heart because my grandmother suffered with that disease. And I think, when we're doing these games that bring wealth and things back to our communities, I think it brings the fun back to these games. And it kind of makes me mad because Probst said earlier, he's like, we're bringing the fun back to Survivor. And I was like, wait, that's what we do. That's what we're good at here. We take your game that is hard and difficult. so just so difficult to play, and then we bring the fun to it. So I feel like this season 41, we're seeing a little bit of art imitate life. Maybe it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Kirk, our tagline for reality is fun for funds. And that's it.
And this year or next year, it's planned for May 4th, 5th, and 6th, I believe.
Correct. 3 days, first weekend of May.
Now, if somebody wants to get involved with this, how would they do that?
Well, basically to go to realityrally.com and you can send a message to me through the website and or email me, Jillian at realityrally.com, but it's Jillian with a G, remember. I'd love to have people help in any way they possibly can, because the whole thing is about a we event. Anybody who wants to be involved in any way, come and be part of us. Email me. I can chat and we'll see what will work for you, and I'd love to chat. So Jillian with a G, Jillian at realityrally.com.
And so what can people expect if they come to your event?
Oh my gosh, we've got 3 days of crazy fun events, unique events. There's nothing else like it out there in all it does. First of all, if people are interested, they can meet reality TV stars. Over the past, we've had anything between 50 and 100 from about 30 different shows. It's not just Survivor. It's Amazing Race, Big Brother, Naked and Afraid, Survivor, obviously, and about 30 different shows. A lot of the chef shows, Top Chef, Hell's Kitchen, all of those different shows. So that's the first thing, they can meet people. Secondly, they can get a really good feeling that they are helping raise money for Michelle's Place, which is a cancer resource center. They have provided over 180,000 services free of cost to people who are dealing with any form of cancer, support services that are given to them. So that is why we do it, and anybody can be part of that by coming. We have a great party at a winery. We have a casino there. Well, I can't call it a casino, but it is. We have a casino. We have live band karaoke. We have food. We have restaurants. We have all kinds of activities for people to do. We have the gunfighters, etc. We have a red carpet, and it's a lot of fun. On this Friday, it is a crazy lip sync showdown, and that is better than anything in Hollywood as far as I'm concerned. We have the most amazing light and sound guy that makes it beat Hollywood any day. And the performers, we have anything up to 14 groups or singles. It's crazy. And then on Saturday, we have an amazing race throughout Old Town. And we have 14 to 15 challenge checkpoints all over our Old Town, put on by the organizations that are part of Old Town and Temecula, representing who they are. And you have to do stuff. In fact, people from Amazing Race have said Reality Rally is actually more fun and just as crazy as Amazing Race was. So all of these that I've mentioned, you go to realityrally.com and go to each one of these little vignettes and you'll see a video, because you can't read my mind, and I hope to God you never will be able to, because you don't want to know what's going on in here. So you can see the videos of what it's like.
That sounds amazing. So everybody who gets to go, you get to participate in all these amazing events, but you get to play an amazing race. And it's not easy to find amazing race events around the world. So that's super exciting. Speaking of Amazing Race and Live to Give, which I mentioned earlier, Bergen this year played in Live to Give. I can't say anything except he played, but I got to learn that he was raising funds for Michelle's Place as well, and I found that just beautiful and touching. Lance, you've also played numerous charitable events. Do you want to talk about any of the charities that you've worked for in the past?
Yeah, so the most recent, like for Live to Give, I played for my charity, which is Hofapalusis, which is a nonprofit for underage youth from the ages of 5 all the way up into their college days, who aren't given the opportunity to sit there and experience things that some of us could do at the drop of a dime. So that charity, they raise money, and it's in my hometown, and it's really like near and dear to me, because I know exactly the money is going to exactly who the money is going to. So that's, you know, who I fought for Live to Give. And as that comes out real soon, you'll see how I play. And now, you know, I work for an organization, Unjackie Productions, which brings me into talking about our next season of Mayhem Manor Season 4, which is happening this October 9th through the 11th in Orlando. It's 40 plus players. We also have 2 reality stars signed on, Ronnie from Big Brother 11 and Marlon from Real World Portland, X on the Beach and the Challenge, where, you know, we bring fans into the game that they know and love. It's known as the Challenge of the LRG world. It's the biggest LRG that's out now, and you know, it's something near and dear to my heart as well. You can follow the Facebook page at Unjackie Productions, home of Mayhem Manor, and also we have a Patreon exclusive, which is Unjackie Productions, that really you'll be able to dive in and see every moment of the game play out from the 9th through the 11th, and it'll give you such an inclusive experience throughout those days. And it's something that we are gearing up for, and the players and the reality stars are ready to kick butt, and it's going to be something really good to sit back, watch, see play out. You know, I've been working on it for over a year now, so to see it play out in literally a couple of weeks is just bringing like a smile to my face. And I love reality TV so much, and just to give someone that reality TV experience makes me smile. So make sure y'all go to our Facebook page at Unjackie Productions, home of Mayhem Manor, and follow the page. You know, apply for a future season, because we're not done after season 4, baby. We're here and ready to just continue killing it, and you know, be the premier challenge LRG of the community.
Absolutely, the places looks always amazing, and the fact that you cast Sandy Pomales, I can't even handle it. Like I messaged him right away and said, I thought I was going to be Michigan was where you were going to come for your first game, Sandy. So you guys are so lucky. I'm so jealous, Sandy. I hope you watch this. So I host Adventure Coco Pele. We've provided a charity. It's much smaller than both Jillian's and Lance's, but we do a nice little event for Little Mary's Hospitality House, which is a hotel out in the middle of the Manistee National Forest, this beautiful, beautiful rustic area in Michigan that gives vacations to families with children with diseases that will be terminal. And so it is the coolest thing. So what we did last time is we helped build a playground for them. And it was so cool. So seeing the kids playing the puzzles afterwards, I see Susan just posted. She recognizes that because she beat that slider puzzle during my season. Thanks, Susan. Yes, you do recognize it very well. But yeah, that's something that brings the 3 of us together, is this idea of the game is so fun, but it's even more fun when you're doing good for others. So I highly, highly recommend you follow Lance, follow Aunt Jackie's. Definitely, if we do another Coco Pele, we'll probably do one next year. Check it out, but definitely check out Reality Rally. This is a staple in our community. It's something that happens every year, and they do so much good. So absolutely check it out, and we will have. Just check the box below if you're in Facebook or YouTube, and you'll see the information. If you're on Spotify or another thing, you'll have to jump over, but it's going to be a quick link. And you'll get right over to Reality Rally, and you can watch all of the videos you want. But we're 13 minutes in, and we need to talk about Survivor 41. I mean, Jillian, let's start with you, because you've been there in the opening hours and moments of the game. What's it like rewatching it when you watch these players come out for the first time?
Oh, you know, because it's going to be so different. I thought, oh my God, these people are in for it. And we saw that play out tonight over the 2 hours. I thought it was very interesting. And actually, a lot of the people that were watching with me said, why aren't they getting to a challenge? There was a lot more backstory. There was a lot more who these people are, talking about themselves. And I presume you all know that CBS has made a marked attempt, which is working, at changing some of what they were. And Jeff's thing about, what do you think about, hey, you guys, come on in, or whatever it is. I mean, that was a start right off there. It was like, okay, CBS is listening. We are trying to make it more inclusive, all inclusive, and not have the profiling and all of that sort of stuff. You're always going to have the backstabbing and the talking about each other, etc. That's part of Survivor. but it's not going to be the same, I believe. And I don't think it's going to be boring. I've had some people say to me, oh my gosh, is it going to be super boring now because it's going to be so dampened? I don't believe that. So I thought it was actually great. And it was nice to see a little bit more about the people in the background, because we all know, for myself, what the world saw isn't really me. The world saw, and I didn't realize this. I mean, if I'd known this, I wouldn't have. I was actually sort of boring because I couldn't say what I was thinking about people. I just couldn't say things that I felt would be hateful, that would be not nice. So, and I got that flair tonight that they were being strategically discussing without some of the meanness that I've seen in the past. It was starting to get pretty mean there for a while. What did you think, Lance? And what did you think, Kirk?
Honestly, for me, I love a good storyline. Like, I've been watching Survivor since the wee age of freaking 7 years old, season 1. So, like, me learning a player and seeing, like, okay, this is the reason that they stood out. This is the reason that they're a castaway on this island. Like, just brought a refreshing smile to my face. Because, like, most of the time, the first couple of people that go home, we don't really know them well. But I can sit there and say, like, no matter who went home tonight, that I at least got a good chunk of their story. I love the B-roll. I love seeing more into their life, because we saw it back in season 1. Like season 1, whenever, they'll announce someone's a doctor, we'll see them in their doctor field. We'll see someone as an attorney. We'll see them in the courtroom. It was good to see a little bit of real life. And I guess that, the whole COVID situation brought that, was like, hey, we need something fresh. Jeff wants it fun. Let's let the viewers into these people and connect so much faster. Because sometimes it might take us weeks to connect and be like, that's my favorite. Oh, they tug my heartstring. Where in this episode, especially if you're a real emotional person, some of those stories really could have brought tears to your eyes, because it was very in there. And I loved every moment of it.
Yep. Absolutely. Like, talking about this B-roll, I think the editing of this episode was just beautiful, perfect. It made people seem not a caricature anymore. They seemed fully people. We got to see, when they'd start talking, we'd see their past footage. And I also love the editing going back and forth and allowing us to see some of the things Jeff Probst was hinting about. Like, we're going to cue you into this story. We're not going to keep you completely in the dark as the audience anymore. And I think this is a huge good change. And I think this is a change related to LRGs that Lance has been in before, because we watch these on Facebook Live. We comment on them, we judge them, we suggest actions, but the players can't hear us, but we play along at home. And I feel like Survivor in 2021 finally caught along to let us play at home. So let me ask you this. Did either of you figure out the clue in the episode?
I kind of worked really hard on it. I think I got day 1 alliance or allies, but I was so into the episode. So once we went online and typed it in, a message from Jeff came up. So I didn't really go really worry about figuring out what he's telling me, but I feel like I got close enough. I'm pretty sure you got it though, Kirk. I'm pretty sure you did.
I didn't, but Dustin got it because he took a picture of it and it was too fast. And I write notes when I watch the episodes to talk about him. So I can't figure out how to read this puzzle, but I put, this is fun. I wrote in my notes. I think he said the same thing. It was like day 1, alliance or allies or something like that, which again, just promotes this interactive, inclusive environment, which is just so positive. Now, I will say, at my age, at first, it begs people to check themselves. So I'm a person that had to check themselves because I use that word. And in fact, guys, at times. And in fact, Evie used that term less than 10 minutes later in the episode, referring to her tribe mates. But I think it's an important conversation to be had. I also think, I don't know what you guys think about this, but Jeff Probst to me is a little intimidating. I think Ricard must have the biggest cojones in the world to say something like that to the host of the show. I think it says something about him and his confidence as a person.
Yeah,
But you
like,
know, yeah, I think the thing is that, before we go into the game, one of the things that Jeff took us all aside, and of course we're not talking to each other, we don't know each other, we don't know anything about what's happening, but he says, I want you to give me stuff that's valuable, and we'll sit in tribal council until you've given me some good stuff. And I think that Ricardo took that and ran with it, which was great, because it does take, it's, you don't want to speak up. You don't want to say anything because you just know whatever you're going to say is, first of all, going to be used, put into the edit, and then everybody will think that about you, especially if it's not great. But in addition, you for your tribe, you don't really want to speak up because then, hey, there you are, the one that speaks up all the time. But I thought that was great. I mean,
yeah, and I think that was the blowback. Whenever Evie first spoke up about it, I feel like I feel like even me in that standpoint, it's a social game. I've been waiting to play Survivor. I don't want to say the wrong thing and be combative, or say no. I don't think, guys, is appropriate to use. And now she's against me. Talk to a couple of people, and now just because Lance said one little thing just in the beginning of the game could be my downfall. So I really appreciated how Ricard said that and thought about his response and addressed Jeff about it. At the end of the day, it was really hard. It's definitely when Evie first said it, I'm sitting there cringing because I know it's someone that's watching the show being like, I don't identify and I don't appreciate that. So for someone to speak up on it, even though it was later in the episode, was really good to see. And like me and my roommate was talking, we really felt if Jeff wanted to make a change, go ahead and make that change. Don't make it this banter thing with the group, because one person can be a spokesperson for the whole collective community. So that was the only blowback I had with it, and I'm happy that Ricard spoke up on it, and I think he handled it really well, and it would earn a lot of brownie points with me.
Yep, and with his tribe, possibly. You just never know. I mean, and it's so difficult speaking up because I know that in one of two tribal councils, just in case you didn't know, I certainly didn't win, but yes, I did in so many other ways. So anyway, in tribal council, Jeff goes into this whole thing about the leader. Okay, who's the leader? And I'm sitting there thinking, there is no leader. I mean, good grief. And he kept going on and on and on and on about the leader. And eventually GC said, well, I'll be the leader. And I'm thinking, what I wanted to say to Jeff was, Jeff, there is no leading this tribe. There is a whole group of individuals that there's no leading. So just get off the leader thing. I was going to tell him, just cut it out. There's no leader. Move on. Think of something else. But I didn't. I think I rolled.
You sit there and worry about how you're going to be perceived. Like,
Right.
It's like a game within a game. So you sit there and worry about like, oh yeah, I'm going to be perceived like this with my tribe. Then to the viewers and to the public, me being combative with Jeff, it's going to be a whole thing. So I know that's what you was thinking in Gabon. Like, I can't do that. So let me just, roll my eyes and just let the audience make their decision on how they really feel.
And also, Jillian, you survived for 8 days, if I'm not correct. And that's way past.
6 days.
Wait, 6?
6 days.
I thought it was 8. Okay, 6 days is still much longer than most live reality game players that are here at this channel. So that is something extremely impressive to us.
And
Actually, I think what's more, if you want to use the word impressive, is the fact that I got on and I never gave up trying. It took me 8 years, 20 applications. So my message to people is never give up on something you really want to do because the time has to be right. Mm-hmm. And that to me is the impressive part. There are like 60,000 people that apply every season. And if you give up, it means you didn't really want it. So yeah, and I have had such value out of using my opportunity of being on Survivor. So that's the thing. It was meant to be. So yeah.
And guys, they're casting right now. So if you didn't know that and you're just watching this and you're just a wannabe and you really think you could be a really bee, get that app in as soon as possible because it's going to happen soon. They're probably picking actually as we speak for all I know. There's so many twists in this season, Lance. Like Jeff Probst said, this is going to be new Survivor. William Yelton posted, drop the 4. This is season 1, So give me something. You've played a lot of these games. What's one of these twists that kind of sticks out to you?
Honestly, every aspect of this like new era, like for me, the no rise to like anytime you lose, you're losing your flint. Like to even like going into a tribal, knowing that I could basically save myself if I hear my name out. So that makes you play on a more elevated, like secretive. It reminds me so much of the LRG world that we play. So fast paced, so we have to play in different mindsets because if people, a lot of things are so twisty that like this game is just a new era, and it makes like players who's just jumping into Survivor, or even people like us that's been watching Survivor so long, be like, how will we play this time around? How will we play in a season like this? 26 days, no rights, losing flint every other day. Like every aspect of it for me spoke volumes, from the risking your vote to having to decide if we want to work as a team and figure out a puzzle with one guest or, two people go off. Like at the end of the day, for me, deciding that moment would be my downfall, because I would fight for all 6 of us to sit there and do that triangle puzzle, and it all falls on all 6 of us and we lose. I'm not about to go away with one other person and 4 of y'all make a final 4 in a tribe of 6. It's just so many variables that goes in my head that if I ever get out there to play Survivor, like I don't know how, like, to jump on it so fast and to be so, like, my nerves would be on edge because I'll look at every side of the coin.
Yeah, that was actually one of the things that really struck me too. It almost seemed from the moment on the boat, people were talking to each other and okay, I'm going to go with you. I want to go with you, blah, blah, blah. There was all this talk. And I still remember when the old school guys came back to play, they said this, and there was the new school. Sorry, I can't remember the season's name, but the old school and the new school. And the old school was saying, good God, this isn't even the same game that we played. They were building shelter, making fire, looking for food. They weren't talking to each other yet for quite a while. But boy, this one, boom, on they go. Yeah. And talk. And then I love the singing in her head, la 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 la. Whatever.
Yeah, we saw that a lot in Winners at War. I think that's what you're referencing to, when like a lot of the old school players was like, this is not the game I'm used to.
Yep.
Like, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, speaking of singing, I love Shan's villain theme.
Baby, she spoke to me. Shan was just the superstar for me throughout this whole episode.
It was so good. But I want to get back to the twist before we get into the players really quick, because the fire twist really got me. Because you guys know, even though we've all played our own different versions, Jillian, you've played the real thing, but fire really is your life. I mean, if you haven't been outside at night, fire's life. And it's tough to get through the night. So with Dustin, we were trying to think of ways to outwit Jeff taking the flint away. So in other words, like, how could you keep your fire raging post-challenge? So this is a quiz to you, Jillian. What would you do if you knew Jeff was about to take your flint? How would you guarantee that you're still going to have a fire or ability to make fire later on in the day?
Well, I think the bottom line would be is you just want to make sure you're going to have a fire when you get back. You need to do more than just build it outside in the elements. You've got to build a shelter around it. You've got to put lots of rocks around it so that they can be heated up, and they'll be able to, if the embers are getting cool, then the rocks around them would be hot. So therefore it would keep those embers hotter. And have lots and lots of wood. You've got long logs maybe that are dried so that it can slowly work its way up the log. You've just got to be sure that you've got a fire when you get back. And not, you don't want to have to start again getting a fire going, because maybe it'll be tough. Maybe it would have rained. Maybe everything's wet. That's why you've got to have a fire that's in a shelter, protected from the elements, protected from the wind, protected from the rain. So you've got fire when you get back. And that's, what you got to do. I mean, it sounds easy. And here I am talking. I knew how to make fire 5 different ways. Not one of them worked. I looked like an idiot trying to make fire in 5 different ways, even propping my glasses up on an elephant's skull to try and keep it right on the area that I wanted the little Bernie thing to catch.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What would you do?
I was thinking you could potentially, because I've used that flint before, and I definitely would want to shave off as much of the shavings as possible. I want to have a big pile of it, because you can essentially kind of obliterated if you just grind at it for a while. So is there a way you could just keep a little stash of your flint magnesium and then use that to hopefully make a spark, maybe off a rock or something else later on? I'm thinking, or use the machete to kind of pound away at that flint and just kind of break it apart, so you have a chip of it to later use. I don't know, but I definitely would be thinking about that if I was out there and knowing Jeff Probster's around the corner going to take my fire away. I was afraid it was going to be more of a situation where they just come in and douse your fire with water and they go.
Yeah, that's a thought. I didn't think about that. Of course, then the other thing could be is you could say, oh gosh, who brought the flint? Oh, did you bring the flint? No, did you bring the flint? I don't think we've got the flint, Jeff. What are we going to do about it?
That's a perfect way to do that. Yeah.
I'm always down with the let's play dumb strategy. I'm always down. Great.
Like, oh, I don't know where it is. I thought you brought it. No, I thought you brought it. Well,
oh, it's hanging up by a flag. Yeah, it's hanging up by a flag. Dang.
Can you bring that boat around, Probes? We just need to take the boat over to the island. We'll be good. We'll be right back. Promise. So, speaking of the boats anyways, we had a very interesting new version of Exile/Summit/ what do you call this? Maybe it's something new, where the twist was a guy comes up on a boat and he gives you a note. It screams live reality game to me, because this is like 100%. Me being on Lance's tribe at some point when I've been a co-host of a season, handing you tree mail, and it's like, okay, we're recording, go.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you got to kind of see the players figure it out. They're not told what to do right away. So we see the process. I really like that. Lance, what did you take from the overall twist of the prisoner's dilemma?
Yeah, the prisoner's dilemma was, honestly, for me, very interesting because it brought players together early on where, like, usually until a swap happens or a big introduction, I'm not able to learn the name of a couple of the contestants in the game. So, like, for me, they initially bring that out. If I was one of the ones that did the bucket fill underwater, I would not have went to the prisoner's dilemma at all. That's just for me. I already lost 4 hours being with my tribe. Who knows how much longer I'm about to be on this exile situation. So for me, it would have been out of the question. But it was very interesting to see the different tribes do the different types of strategies. Some tribes are playing coy, like, oh, I don't want to go. So one person steps up. One tribe decides to throw rocks. And the other tribe just did it however. And for me, just seeing the different dynamics shows how different people play the game. And it was very interesting to see that. Out of the 3 people that went, 2 of them already was away from their tribe for 4 hours to begin with. So that was very interesting.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, it's, again, having been there, you think of things differently than when you're viewing it happening, as we all have this evening. Because any answer is not going to be the best answer. You don't want to volunteer to go. You don't want to stay. You don't want to volunteer somebody else. You don't want to be away from everybody. You do want to be gone because it might be something really cool and valuable. You do want to go because you might meet the other people, because you presume every one of the tribes is going to be sending somebody. So you maybe do want to. And again, we only see a very little of what happens. Maybe they were picking each other's brains about who was on their tribe and what they were like and, whatever. So that eventually when there's a merge, they would know more about the other tribes, which is what I would have done. And maybe they'd been told they couldn't discuss their other members. I don't know. But there's no good answer, and that's what risk taking is all about. And I think that's what this game is going to be. Is people have to take the risk to go with one thing or the other, and there's no answer. It's a no-win. I mean, it's definitely the prisoner dilemma. I mean, that's it.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. It was definitely a no-win for Danny. Danny went after he had done pretty much all good for the tribe. He had filled the water up, and then Nasir incorrectly thinks he has the idol, or he's being nefarious for whatever reason, and then goes and spills that kind of rumor mill around his tribe, and then Danny has to leave again to go here. which we see Blue Tribe win, so we don't get to see if this would culminate into anything. But when Danny chose protect his vote, I was a little bit concerned if his tribe went to tribal that he might, be on the chopping block. Another interesting point is JD was picked for a variety of reasons, but they draw rocks, essentially. I have to tell you, if I was ever going to draw anything on Survivor, I definitely don't want to draw rocks.
Exactly.
I'm so glad get out pieces of bamboo, maybe. The ritual of drawing rocks is such a curse.
Yep. They should do a stick, or something else. But the fact is that they know. I mean, all the people on that tribe knew that, this is a big thing. You draw rocks on Survivor. So, let's follow the thing.
Let's do it. Even though it's generally a bad idea.
Yeah.
In this show, at least. They also said JD was the least likely to lie. That was stated by at least one person. And I was like, wait.
Really?
Confused. Yeah. Because for me, out of the people on that tribe, he was given the most sketchiest vibes. So, if anybody would go, it needed to be Shan. It needs to be Evie. Somebody that gives that nicey nice vibe. For JD for them to honestly say, oh, Evie's telling the truth. He's gonna come back and tell us the truth. No. You was literally a couple scenes before just saying how he was moving and shaking, talking to everybody and their mama. It was weird.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind too is that everybody in the tribes have seen each other, spoken to each other, watched each other for 24 hours a day. And, what we see is very short on what Survivor producers want us to see. So when they come up with comments of whatever it might be, there's certainly always more to it than meets the eye. And that's clear to me, having been there.
The other person who was picked was Xander, who's the youngest person in his tribe. I think one of the youngest people in the cast. I think he was born before Survivor aired, which is mind-boggling to me. But I got to tell you, I think he might be one of the smartest people out there. Is that just me? I feel like this kid is smart.
It's so weird. I was literally talking about this throughout the episode that Xander comes across very nonchalant, but should be perceived as a threat easily. He minimizes his threat level with the way he speaks, the way he engages, and making you feel like it's the betterment of the tribe, but still doing what he has to do to play the game. Honestly, for me, Xander would definitely be somebody for me to watch if I was there playing the game. But I feel just like the rest of them are soaking into it. I feel like I'll be sucked into what he's given as well.
Yeah. Again, the thing is that we see him and all the others as Survivor producers want us to see people. And that's, the opinions that we all form. While I'm thinking about it, though, the funniest thing for me in the whole 2 hours was the fact that the blue boat, whatever the tribe's name was, didn't move because they hadn't unhooked the back anchor. So funny. And why they didn't think of that, I don't know. If they're working that, I was watching their oars and they were paddling hard and they were just about killing themselves working on it. Surely somebody would have thought, why are we stuck? So I thought that was hysterical. That was very funny. So yeah, that was totally off the subject, but there we are.
Oh no, we're right at that subject now, Jillian. That's a perfect timing because we see at the immunity challenge, Blue very far in behind, and I really thought they were going to lose. I thought this was going to be the end of Danny's game already. I'm predetermining his exit out of this show, and lo and behold, that strength between I think Danny and Deshaun and that whole tribe. That tribe is strong.
Yeah.
They took those bags right up that.
Boy, that was brutal.
Yeah. And they went so fast compared to the other teams. They edited it to make it look nice, I think.
Yeah. That's it's crazy. And I was watching each one of them because I always like to sort of see who is really pulling their weight. I mean, the pun, no pun intended, but doing it or not doing it as well, and whatever. It's always interesting to see that.
Did you notice anyone not pulling their weights?
Not that I could tell, and I was really watching all of the different. It was hard to tell because there's so many people, and they were the the whatevers. Talking about strong and weight and all that sort of thing. What do you guys and possibly people out there thinking? Getting rid of somebody that is strong and able to pull their weight when you're already a weak tribe. I mean, yes, there's the whole thing about loyalty and trustworthiness and everything. Mm-hmm. But if you keep losing, your tribe's going to be out because there's, especially if there's more than one person booted, which there will be because it's much shorter. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Getting rid of clearly somebody who can pull their own weight because they're stronger and bigger and taller and healthy, whatever.
Honestly, for me, I played the game that's in front of me. And for me, keeping the tribe strong is not at the top of my list. It's honestly, for me, the vibes, who I connect with. And if I feel like you might be the biggest freaking Goliath, but if you're not giving me good vibes, you're not engaging with conversation with me, you're not giving me nothing. When I'm trying to talk a little bit of strategy, we're playing Survivor, and you're not giving me nothing, then it's a chop. But, you can also think on the other hand of the Jeremy Collins strategy where, like, if you're engaging with me and you're a strong beast, yeah, you could be my shield. There you go. But it has to be some type of vibe. I have to be able to connect with you in some shape or form because there's many times where I've seen, I just watching tonight, like David, the neuroscientist, will be someone who gives me the heebie-jeebies if I was playing the game. But that's like you say, that's the edit that the producers give us. But for me, it's all about the vibe of feeling. Keeping the tribe strong is not at the top of my list because Survivor is an ever-changing game. We could be in this tribe today, another tribe tomorrow, merge the next day. It's a chop. If I'm threatened by you, it's time for you to go.
What do you think, Kirk?
That's a good way to say it. I think for me, it's a balance between those two things, Jillian. And that's kind of a cop-out answer. But it's like James Clement is clearly going to help my tribe in challenges. But he's also clearly going to be a little bit arrogant, a little bit cocky as a person, which might, depending on your personality, get on your nerves. But he's also, if you get to know him, or at least the edit, he's really funny too. Yeah. So it's going to be how you weigh those pros and cons with the personality. So for me, it's a little bit of both. I am kind of old school in the sense that I don't want to go to tribal council before swap or merge. So I want to win the challenges early on and be able to like blur the lines as far as possible into the game.
But it's hard to say that because, just because this might be someone, we have a challenge full of strength. Most of the time, a lot of challenges come down to puzzle. We haven't been able to see like a Tiffany's or someone's strength yet, and they're considered weak because they're not a burdened man or a strong woman. For me, it's a balance. And Jillian, how do you see it, being that you played the game and you were older playing the game compared to some of the other players?
Yeah, and that again is the how can I put that? Each of the tribe members have seen each other again for that 24 hours a day. And we didn't see that. So we didn't see how people were interacting as much with each other because there's no way. I mean, for 300 minutes of film, they pull 3 minutes of it into the episode we watch. So it's very hard to know exactly what is going on behind there. And what I actually have to say is I was so glad that it wasn't the two of the older players because that is always like almost you've got a nail in your coffin if you're one of the older players. And I was so excited not to see the older players going first because people are thinking, oh, they're going to be useless before they can even show that they're not. So I was very happy that it wasn't. And it was, I mean, it was far from one of the old. I don't know how old is Abraham anyway? I looked at them all up, so I don't know. 40 something maybe.
Yeah.
And Sarah's not that old either. She's young as well.
Oh, well, she was young.
Abraham is 51.
51. Okay.
But it's another thing akin with this season. he doesn't present himself. It's if I thought of 51, I don't see that when I look at Eric, and he didn't come across as 51. He came across as one of my colleagues at work. So for me, he doesn't come across that age. But it's interesting you say that, because that didn't seem to be part of this cast. The discussion of, ageism or age being weak didn't seem to be anything a part of the conversations that I witnessed. And that's another thing that's very inclusive about this group of people.
Well, I think that's also part of the CBS decision to try, and in some cases people are thinking it's going to be boring, but they're not picking on the old people. They're not making rude comments about different races or different lifestyles. So it has become, and I didn't see that. I mean, good God, Randy called me a useless old woman from the moment the show started. So, there was all that sort of stuff that was being said about older people and lifestyle and color and religion and all those kind of comments were very common. And that's what CBS is trying not to do, and if it is being said in camp, it's not being aired. And that, I think, can be, whether it'll be boring or not, I don't know.
And it's also only the beginning, though. The hot and spicy stuff haven't come yet. So we will see. I feel like this was a very much so like development episode, like learning character, stuff like that. So they didn't want to get into nasty meat and potatoes. Because I know some people had some stuff to say about a JD. And people had stuff worse to say about Eric. But like you said, it's definitely CBS presenting themselves differently moving forward. And, as the season progresses, we'll be watching and seeing how that continues.
Well, I was glad they didn't call anybody a useless old woman right off the bat.
Yeah, I appreciate that also.
However, there's nobody that's 61 on there.
I was just about to say that, Jillian. The one thing about the diversity is the age diversity is a little tight. If we look at the window of the ages, now 20 is about as young as they go, but going up to 50, we've seen them go older than that. So they did keep it tight. But the more I discussed this with Dustin during the episode, and we felt like it had to have been based on their personalities. Like, this personality is so perfect for this season, this cast. We have to cast this person. And some of their stories, if you've watched the back interviews, are really, amazing. And in fact, I think we're at the spot. We can break down the episode for you guys. Luvu, the Blue Tribe, wins immunity. They are going to be all safe. Danny has protected his vote, so he has his vote. Nothing's going on with that. However, at the twist, JD and Xander both risk their votes, which means at Tribal Council, they will be gifted an extra vote that they can use up until the final 6, I believe. Like, it's crazy. Like, that's so far away. And then on top of it, both of those two tribes go to Tribal Council. They both lose. So Jeff he said the game is going to come on strong. It's a monster, and the monster is going to take 2 victims in round 1. And we're going to break that down for you, but it really ends up being Abraham voted out 5-1, with Tiffany receiving 1 of the votes. And the other tribe, Sarah, receives 4 votes. Brad 1. Ricard also gets a vote. And JD gets no votes, which I thought was stunning and amazing and questionable and all sorts of adjectives.
But it was all the whispering that went on. Yeah. All the little. I wish I'd realized that we could do that. I don't know why we didn't do it, but we all sat there like mummies on our little stump trees. There was a lot of that going on tonight for that tribe, all talking about who, what, where.
Yeah, and that definitely has transitioned into the live reality game world. Like, once we saw that on actual Survivor, hosts opened up to letting it happen. So I didn't experience some, and it is crazy. And it's kind of like, someone is telling you, just like how we saw tonight, someone is telling you the plan, but you're like, are you really with me? Is this what we're really going to do? Is this my demise? Wait, it just has your mind going crazy. And then you think about all the other variables, because then with all that whispering going on for me, I start thinking, do I need to use my die tonight? Do I need to, take that 17% chance? I don't know. Live travels are really giving me the heebie-jeebies, unless I got a million niggas around there.
I love this dice twist too. We've seen similar things, but it kind of balances the idea that I'm going to risk my vote for only a 17% chance. But on the chance you roll the dice correctly and you're safe, does it act like a hidden immunity safety, Lance? Is it like votes are canceled?
Yeah, from what I remember, no one's going to know until the votes are about to be read. So it's kind of like a hidden immunity item. So I would assume that the next highest votes is the person that's going home. So that could be definitely a game changer. Think of Eric, if he would have done that in a 5-1 vote, he's the one keeping himself safe, knowing 5 people voted me out, and Tiffany's going home. Now, how do I rehash all that and fix those relationships, knowing that I can't use my dice again, right? If I'm not mistaken, going into a possible next round where 2 tribes are going to tribal council again, probably.
It's even more risky to tell the person who's being voted out that you're voting for them. Mm-hmm. Even more, like even if you're trying to do what's called jury management, I don't know if I really even believe in the concept, really. I think it's just you as a person. But I think it's, what do you do? Especially if this twist goes late in the game. Mm-hmm. Ooh. This could be really, really tricky down the line. So, okay, we're getting kind of late into this. We have, I have all this wonderful stream of players. Let's just go through this really quick. If anybody has any thoughts, I mean, Abraham, we lost him tonight.
My thing is with Abraham, I literally, when he started the Tiffany is the week when you saw what she did, trying to pin it all on her, I knew from looking at bios that Evie was not having it. And immediately, the first person who clicked on it was like, Evie was like, oh no, we're not about to play this game. And immediately, he was thrown to the wolves. And I was like, if their tribe goes home, unless he fixes those relationships, because a lot of people seem to have got along really well with Tiffany, he's done. No ifs, ands, or buts. I felt that.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I love Erica, actually. I think she's going to do well.
Yes, I love Erica so much, too.
She's very cute.
She's like dainty and quiet, and I just seem like she's got that sweet factor that might get her really deep in the game.
And the fact that she so quickly said how she feels so honored to be back, to be able to get back when she missed out. Because, a lot of people get on Survivor and it's like, no big deal. And I think, what do you mean no big deal? There's 60,000 people twice a year that are dying to get on. Don't you dare say that. 100%. So she was awesome. Yeah.
She's one of our fellow Canadians that up here in Michigan we're so close to. So welcoming you to the cast. It's exciting to see people. I think more people inclusive again is the theme, I think, for this season, which is super cool. Also, Erica, I think she's super smart. She called it out that dilemma was the prisoner's dilemma by name during it. I was a little surprised she said it in front of people and not at a confessional, but I think it goes to show that some of these players are just 26 days, they're just going to put it all out there for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Who's next on the list? Oh, Evie. When I originally was doing my cash reviews and drafts with friends, Evie was definitely someone that I felt would be a hit or miss for me because her bio literally states, "What's your pet peeve?" Men. I'm like, oh dang, that sucks. I'm a great man, But so it'd be kind of scary going into a game with someone like that who's immediately going to write me off unless I present to them in a different way, shape, or form. So I was a little interested to see how Evie would play, and I can't wait to see how it continues.
Well, I think she's a person that's going to speak her mind, which we saw some of today, and certainly in her write-ups. I mean, the fact that she just said these kind of things, I don't know that it was, the fact that, she doesn't want to, whatever it was about men. But she's going to speak her mind, and I think it might start rubbing some people the wrong way. But a lot of people I've spoken to have said that they're rooting for her.
Yeah.
I am too. I get a good vibe off of her. The funniest thing to me, it's funny. It's probably not funny to anybody else, but she thought that being, what is she, an evolutionary biologist? And she thinks that's a threat. And I really thought that was funny because I'm like, like Darwinism, like survival of the fittest, but I don't see how that really applies to Survivor. Like Jillian, if you were an evolutionary biologist, I would align with you and not think anything of it. I would not think you're going to win Final Tribal Council. I'm not thinking you're going to build me a better fire. I'm just thinking you're you. So I don't know. Evie, I don't think you're a threat because of your job personally. I think it's hilarious, but I think you are damn smart for sure.
Yep. Well, that's the thing. To be in a field that's so intense, you have to be on the ball. And to be quite honest, I think if she had have told everybody on all tribes what she actually did for a living, I would say at least 60% would say, huh?
Yeah.
Huh? What is it? Huh? So there you go.
I'm loving on some Jeannie. I'm on the Jeannie train personally. I'll go to your grocery store anytime. And in fact, Jeannie might be able to convince me to leave, to retire from teaching early and join her at the store.
Yeah, she's got a great vibe, actually. I really like that. And I was glad to see how she is and how she was being portrayed as well. Because there again, we go back to, and I keep going back to the older, even though she's not, she's only 46, but the targeted person. And I was so glad. And again, that's where I think the backstories come in for us. I don't think the contestants knew all of what we knew about each of the players. But for us to be rooting for somebody, that's where the backstories were valuable for viewers. So I'm on the Jeannie train too.
Yeah, same here. Like seeing Jeannie's backstory really was amazing, and learn stuff about her that we didn't really know about. But for me, I need Jeannie to get in that game, because there's many clips where it went to Jeannie and she's like, oh, Shane is talking to her hey, honestly, we could be the vote. Let's go. And she's like, I don't want to vote anyone. And Shane is like, but someone has to go. So and then also Jeannie being the outlier vote, I'm like, come on, baby, get on the train, because you got a lot of people rooting for you, and I'm excited to root for Jeannie, but I need her to get with it. People want to work with Jeannie. She's a very vibey person, so she needs to get with the gig, and she could do really well.
Well, and the thing that came back to me was the finalists in my season were a huge surprise. I mean, I remember saying to Susie, hey, Susie, we better band together, because they're going to get rid of all of us older players. And if I go tonight, you're going to go next. And good grief, there she is sitting in the final three. And that's what makes me think about Jeannie. She may be the same sort of play that Susie obviously was.
True. Or maybe even like a Denise in China.
Yes.
I think Susie, a Susie connection is maybe she has more leverage in the game than a Denise, but that would be really interesting to see play out. And also Gabon, that's just, when you watch, it's a crazy season, Jillian. Anytime I rewatch it, I'm just like, wow.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's wild.
When people say they watched it, I said, oh, I'm sorry.
It's a badonkers. Every time Sugar goes to the Sugar Shack, I'm just like,
yep.
All right. So, Heather, 52. I feel like I didn't get a big sense of her, but I have some opinions for sure.
Okay, what are they?
I think my opinions are more involved with the strategy. I'm wondering if she's trying to align with Danny and Deshawn. And maybe that made Danny feel safe when he went to risk his vote. Maybe he felt like there's a group of three. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, is she the one who told Danny and Deshawn? No, that was Sid. So I don't know. I didn't get much from Heather either. The thing is, she just reminds me of the lady from Legally Blonde, Tiffany. What's her name? She just reminds me so much of her, and I can't unsee it ever since I saw the meme on Twitter. But I hope to see more gameplay out of her.
Yeah, we didn't see much of Heather, I don't think.
Yeah.
And again, looking at her profile, reading up what they'd been written about her, the stuff that Dalton Ross put up and everything. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, oh dear God, 52-year-old stay-at-home mom. She doesn't look too physical or anything. Is she going to get eaten alive? But I think maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much. Like, I guess we'll see as the game go on. But like you said, we haven't seen much from her, and hopefully we see something more.
Yep.
But speaking of somebody we saw a lot of,
Yeah.
Mr. JD.
Well,
Yeah.
it fooled me because usually when you see somebody a lot, it means they're going early then. So, and this was, I thought, well, I guess he's going to go because everybody says he's going to go. And also we've seen him all the time. And so that was like, oh, well, I guess he didn't. That blows that theory.
Honestly, for me, like JD gave me like the blood, sweat, and tears love of the game Survivor. Like he's young, he's the youngest player. He was born after Survivor even was created, learned the game from moment one, and his viewpoints are valid. I feel it, I relate to it, but it's the way you go about it, and I feel like it's the awareness. He needs to be aware of like what he's saying, how he's coming across, so that he can be a little more relatable. Like he has the knowledge for the game, and he could be a really great ally. But he has to give that trust factor for people to be able to connect. And I want to see him do so good. Like being a big fan of the game and seeing someone like him playing the game is like exciting for me. So I want to see him do good. But I'm worried for him. It's early, and you causing a lot of woo-woo.
I love that he's already willing to talk and play the game so early on. He does it eloquently and respectfully. But on top of it, I love the edit, and I don't know if it really happened, but Ricard, like every time JD talks to Ricard's like,
throws his eyes,
yeah. Looking to the side, like they make it seem like he could hear everything he said, which regardless if he can or not, it's great editing. I live for those moments because it looks like people are hearing little pieces of information that others are sharing. But JD's not afraid to share information, so he's going to play the game. I feel like he said he was nervous at Tribal Council. Mm-hmm. I felt like he should be nervous at Tribal Council. He lied to them about the vote. They didn't really believe him.
His story was the worst of the three. His story was the worst of the three.
Well, it went on too long. It was like, okay, you're lying. You're giving us too much detail. You're lying. Yeah. I think he's actually going to go far.
Yeah, I think so too, Jillian. Maybe they know what his tells are. Like we can tell when you're lying, which is maybe a better ability to have in Survivor with an alliance member. Like I can tell when you're being shady, so when you're telling the truth, it will be very obvious too. So let's keep this dude around. I love that Shan revealed very secretly and subtly how bad she wanted to keep him, but she didn't make it apparent to everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Liana Wallace, another 20-year-old from DC. I love DC. Nick, you were just watching. Shout out to DC. I felt like I didn't get a ton from her. Any strong opinions?
No, I didn't catch much about her either. She was one of those that sort of went into the episodes, but I don't think too much was pointed out about her. I mean, you're asking, and I'm trying to think, what did I see that sticks out?
The only thing she really had was, she felt really close with Evie, and made that like connection, if I'm not mistaken. That was her and Evie, right?
I'm pretty sure it was her and Evie as well.
Yeah, she made that connection really early on. I don't even think she had like a B-roll package this episode either, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-mm. So we didn't dive deep into her yet, but like for me, she gives off that like personable, thready. Like I'll be so nervous sitting next to her. I'm not thinking about that, of course, round one, but she just gives off like personable, the smile. She just seemed like people can relate to her, and I don't know. I can't wait to see like her footage of what's like her story, what's her why is she good at Survivor.
I'm so interested to watch these young people play Survivor that just graduated from high school or just entered college and COVID hit. And their entire lives have been altered, but it's different than for us. they're starting out and they have to navigate this, and then they have to navigate an entirely new adventure, which is kind of like COVID. It's shutting everything off. You're starting over. You're isolating. So maybe they're going to be a little adept to just being flexible and changes and going with the flow. I think Liana is another kind of wild card in the sense of Survivor editing. They're not going to give us every player in the first episode. They want to leave some mystery. But here's somebody who probably doesn't have a lot of mystery left to him. Nasir, we saw a lot of sides to him, and there is a lot if you watch some of the B-roll footage online. I got to tell you, I'm bipolar when it comes to Nasir.
Mm-hmm. Like for me, like for you to sit there and say, "Hey, you guys, we're not going to talk strategy until everyone get back," and then as soon as you see them fumbling a little bit, which was a little shady for Deshaun and Danny, but you to immediately go to your tribe mates and you start the havoc of like worry would draw an eye at me. I would look at it on both sides as like, hey, you're trying to help us out, but then at the same time, it's like you're starting the drama unnecessarily. Calm down. When you don't want to set the plan for us to not talk strategy. So it was a little weird. I like a chaotic player, so it's going to be fun to watch him. And I feel that's what he's going to bring to this season until his
and again, though, you
demise.
just so much of it is there's a no-win. You don't know. I mean, he could have kept that to himself, or he could have shared it like he did. And you don't know either way, because if he had not shared it with everybody and it came out a little bit later that he had seen something about these guys going looking for the idol, then they would think, well, he isn't a team player. He's not going to be sharing what we need to know, which they would have felt. So there's really a no-win situation. And going back to the backstories, I just love those backstories so that we know. And and also all of Dalton Ross's EW and the CBS updates and all of that sort of stuff. It gives us a sense of the people, and that's what I'm loving. And the fact that he, how he grew up and that he didn't speak English, and again, it's working into the CBS all-inclusive, different kind of people playing Survivor all at once. So I'm actually rooting for him. I hope he does well.
Jillian, me too, in a weird way. Even though I feel like he epically failed in so many, like the first two. Well, now we're going to say instead of first 3 days, the first 2 days of Survivor. But I felt like I don't know. Sometimes being the gossip monger isn't the best move. But the stories that you can find out about this man will really kind of tug at your heartstrings. So I encourage people, if you want to see a broader brushstroke of Nasir, to follow that stuff. His most embarrassing story, if you've caught those, is the fact that his underwear burnt because the only way to dry it was to wrap it around a light bulb in his house. And he had to beg his mother to get a paper clip to put his underwear back together, because as a young brown male that went to a school that wears a uniform that's all white, you got to wear your underwear. And it's both humorous, but it's also just, it makes you realize what you yourself have in this life.
It's humbling.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And that's what I like about the backstories again. It's humbling because we can think to ourselves, and I think that to me is what the pandemic, I hope, has done, is made people realize how lucky they are with what they've got every day at their fingertips. And yes, there's a huge range of what people have at their fingertips, and that's it. But whatever it is that people have, I hope that they're going to be more grateful for what they have. And yes, that story, I think, puts it right out there.
Absolutely. This is definitely a fan favorite online. Ricard Foyer, I guess. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
He's a flight attendant, which makes everybody get Todd Herzog vibes. 31 and has what, 2 kids?
I think one.
One kid. Yeah. Sorry. I saw 2 in one of the pictures. So
I think he said 1 because he had to leave his child. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. And I love in the opening package that he says, "I'm pretty." He is. He's very pretty.
I love Ricard. Like, he spoke about this when Cass was first really. Can you hear me? I'm sorry. I must have cut out.
And I think he'll be one that'll speak his mind as well, which will add a lot of fuel to a fire, and also either be to his detriment or his benefit.
Yeah, like I said, I literally, when Cash's first release, Rick Hard spoke volumes to me. First of all, fellow flight attendant, I love that. Got to root for him. And then like his story, like we learned so much more than even the write-ups told us tonight about like everything, and it just was amazing just to know like he is someone who never thought he would get married, and then to find his partner. It was just an amazing story, and that's like how Jillian keeps saying, these backstories that we get to know and love early on in the season. It's just, it causes you to root for so many more people. Like Rick Hard was already someone who's a fan favorite online when Cash dropped, and now I feel like he then checked off a lot of boxes in so many other people's hearts, honestly.
Yeah, well, I think CBS was smart giving the backstories, because everything is shortened. We as viewers are not going to have the time to get to know them in the conversations that traditionally they've had with each other here and there and everywhere along the time. There isn't that time for some of that. So CBS threw it in our faces right off so we could get to know them.
Yeah, I love it. I hope we see more of that consistent editing that takes us out of the current timeline and shows us things in the past, whether it's strategic or whether it's their life, because that just brings so much soul to this show.
Yep.
Oh, and then we have Sarah, also from the same tribe, 24, healthcare consultant from Sherman Oaks.
I thought she lived in Boston.
Oh, well, I don't know. Dustin made these, so.
Well, I don't know, but the only reason I think it was Boston is because I'm in Boston. So I was telling the people that were coming to view it with me that there are two from Boston, Sarah and Evie. But maybe it is Sherman Oaks. I hope so. She's closer to Reality Rally.
That's true. She definitely brought some tears this episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did like her. Oh, take it away, Lance.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I did like. She said something kind of on the fly. So she said, "So I don't need my thing." I think it was her, kind of like alluding, like maybe she had an advantage or a power or maybe she's referring to her dice. But I thought that was interesting, like in the strategy, in her emotion, she's trying to use that. So I don't think it's just tears with her. I do think there might be more. I'm not going to say she's at the top of my list, but I do think she was definitely still trying to play the game. So I've had mixed feelings. I couldn't really tell where she was going.
Yeah, and her backstory spoke volumes to me as someone who recently lost my grandmother. So I know, like, her going into the game and knowing that, like, COVID, affected, her life in this game, but was on pause because of COVID and things like that. Like, it was a lot of emotions going into this game, this crazy game, and it's just impactful. And then knowing that you're the reason your tribe lost, and then just feeling like it's nothing you could do. I just, resonated so much with her, and it sucks that she's checking out so early. Because I think I saw a lot of gameplay when I was doing a lot of my like preseason write-ups and look-ups of her. I was excited to see her play the game, and it kind of sucks that she bites it so early on.
Off of it, at least she can say it was off of a very live tribal council, and there was stuff going on.
It's just not technically first boot. Period.
Lance, how do they do?
If I was a cast member, when I'm at my viewing party and I know I was going down the first episode, but second person put it out, y'all, I'm not first boot. Bam, history books.
Well, actually, I'm in the same situation because mine was the first time Survivor's done 2 episodes on the first night. And, it's so funny. I think it's so funny that people always say, well, did you get voted off first? No, I got voted off second because it was on the second episode. But it's so silly because, good grief, all these people have been given this wonderful opportunity to play chosen over millions of other people. And what does it really matter? And in fact, I just spent some time with Tina up in Maine. And I said to her, Tina, I don't even know when you were booted off your season. And she said, first. And I said, I didn't know that. But, it's such a thing. I voted off first. Well, yeah, but you're right. This was not first. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, but go to a little quick history or quick game history that someone might quiz about, who was the first boot of season XYZ? You're not going to really get a question to say who was second boot of XYZ. So that's why first boot and the winners are the most iconic spots, as we saw Francesca being out first in 2 seasons. So first boot is something people remember way more. So,
well, the worst one was actually the ones that didn't even play.
Oh yeah,
was it Gillian and I can't remember the guy's name, but they were on the boat and they came in, and she was singing Survivor songs and the guy was grumpy and didn't make any eye connection with anybody, and they weren't even playing; they were sent away right away.
Yeah.
And that to me was the saddest. I mean, good God, when you've got that far and you don't even get to stay. Well, of course they do, but not in the game.
Yeah, and we had to miss out on all of those amazing songs that we could have heard regaled to us in the challenges. Just makes you think,
Yep. Yeah. And yeah.
Okay, I gotta say, her name is now, we just got off Survivor South Africa with Stantony instead of Santony. This is now Stantel. And and this is the home of the Stantels here at Live Reality Games.
100%.
I adore her. If I meet Chantel, I'm just gonna go, does your church have good music and a good luncheon? And I'm there.
And also tell me about your mob ties and your gang affiliation, because in her bio, she literally talked about one thing you might not know about looking at me is that I was in a gang. And I'm like, what? You're a pastor? What? Okay, you better work. I love it. And from that moment, I was like, this girl is going to be someone I like. And she, to me, ran the episode. She literally were the deciding factor if it was going to be Brad or if it was going to be Sarah or even JD. She was involved in all those conversations, like she said. And that famous music that we all grew to love in one episode, I can't wait to continue hearing it when she's about to make a power move and power her way all the way to the final tribal council and win the game.
Yep.
I'm saying it here first.
Okay, you got it.
I love that she sang a musical theme and they kept it in because it was original. So you future musical Survivor players, please add it in, because they apparently just dug it so much that they custom made their own orchestra track to it.
Original score. Are you kidding?
Does Chantel get residual money for that original composition she created?
We will see.
We shall see.
Yeah, it was different, and that was what makes it different. We wanted to see some different stuff, and she made a lot of what she was doing was different. I mean, talking to every single person, making an alliance within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, true. Doing a live tribal at the very first tribal, taking somebody to the back and being like, I'm with you 100%.
And told Sarah, I need space. Give me space.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
I think I missed that. Yeah.
Between Chantel and Ricard on this tribe, there is a lot of people that are going to speak their truth.
Mm-hmm. Miss
Sydney Segal from Brooklyn, New York. I just have to get right into it. My favorite thing about her is her embarrassing story. If you didn't hear it, she has a lot of flatulence her whole life.
Oh, right, yeah.
If you saw this, it's the funniest thing to me. And I know it's never going to make this series, but I'm sure her fellow tribe mates are going to have stories.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Survivor will show it because it'll be different.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, I didn't see too much from her tonight. And again, I was obviously, watching and then chatting to people. giving them some of the inside scoop for Survivor, whatever it was.
She was the one that brought the information to the Sean and Danny, which I thought was iconic because she obviously made a better connection with the Sean and Danny on the boat ride over all the few minutes before they decided for, more than Nassar to be able to be like, hey, they're coming for you quick. And as of that, that's a 3 right there. So going in, they just have to put one more person to have a voting block. If she was the one bringing that information to them, so she obviously wants to work with them moving forward. So that was iconic for me.
Which is really interesting that you say that, Lance, because one person from every tribe had the opportunity to get an extra vote. It really makes me wonder, why Danny would have not gone. Of course, he didn't need it this round, but why he wouldn't go for that to just guarantee if you just have 3, maybe that +1 vote is all you need to guarantee a majority. Yeah, I had another note on Sydney. Oh, yeah, she was running for the crabs.
That's right.
And I thought, well, maybe she is a survivor. Maybe she's going to try to get some grub to eat.
Yeah, that's when it kind of.
Didn't she run away squealing though when the crab ran away?
But then it also got into her package about how she travels the world, etc., been in all these countries. So it's a mixed bag. I guess it was trying to see she's the adventurous one. So that's why whenever the boat first came, they immediately was like, Sid, go, you're the adventurous one, and she was like, no, good.
I feel like she's gonna be the fun-loving, energetic, bubbly. In more ways than one, player for the tribe.
Funny.
Let's move on to Tiffany.
Funny. Bubbly, yes.
Bubbly, yes.
If when she's in the water, we'll have to watch to see if there's a jacuzzi going around her.
I didn't know Tiffany was just 27. Wow.
I think that's wrong.
Okay.
I think oh yes, this is incorrect. Dustin told me this. Tiffany's 47.
Okay.
Yeah, Tiffany's 47. This is the error, or at least one of our errors. I apologize to CBS and everybody else in advance. This is not a profit production we're doing here, folks. It's a labor of love. And we thank you, Dustin, for doing all of this imagery work for us.
Hello, and thank you.
Yes. So Tiffany's a teacher. I'm a teacher, so I already am going to have some feels for her. What did you guys? She's kind of a mystery to me still.
I love Tiffany. I feel like when Tiffany was first being brought up as a vote, I'm like, no, because that'll be somebody I would immediately latch to. I always said when I play Survivor, I want to latch on, kind of like how Tommy had, and I want an older woman to play this game with, and she just would have been, she's not even that old, but she just was someone who, wouldn't initially fit in. And I feel like that would be the type of person I want to gravitate to first, pull under my wing, and just how, how other players in the game was like, oh no, I don't want to get rid of Tiff. That's how I would be. I wouldn't want to get rid of Tiff. I want to get rid of one of those people I'm not vibing with as much.
Yeah, and for me, again, I think that I'm a little skewed because I keep looking at some of the older players and think, and especially because they keep talking about how brutal it's going to be, 26 days, lots of twists, which we've already seen. And I think, oh my gosh, if it's, I'm just hoping that they're fit and can take it. Because, and again, I'm just a little skewed because I've seen that in so many of the older women not make it because they've been sort of just got rid of. So yeah, I'm rooting for her at what, 47, did you say?
47, yes.
47. So yeah, go for it, Tiffany.
She was very close to finding the idol. One of the best editing twists that we've ever seen is something that live games I don't think have really done. I think Survivor, you did this one first for sure. They showed us the location and cued us in right as the player was there. So now in subsequent episodes, if they go back to this particular tree, we are going to notice it, and we're going to know things before the players do. So this is a kind of what's called dramatic irony in movie making and television. And I think it works perfectly with Survivor because we're going to sit there biting our nails as Tiffany walks by for the 7th time and still doesn't find it. So Tiffany, keep looking for that idol you're close, and quit messing with your hair, honey. It looks good.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I love the fact that we were shown where the idol was, because as you say, it adds a little intrigue for the next episode. Oh, there's that tree. And then, of course, maybe Survivor will have moved it, so it won't be there.
Oh my gosh. This is an idea. Put this out there, people. An idol that moves locations.
Yeah, just to fool us so that we think we've got it.
Yeah.
I could see some game stealing this idea and running with it. That would be fun. Xander. I think he's a smart guy.
Yeah, and I growing up with Survivor, he has been able to view it differently from all of us that didn't grow up with Survivor, but started watching it when we were older and more set in our thought process. He's grown up with Survivor as a thought process. And I'll bet you, I don't know if I saw it anywhere or maybe you did, at what age did he say, hey, I'm going to play that game one day? And so maybe he was young when he started thinking about Survivor, because I know when I used to watch it, I was always trying to figure out how would I climb up that rope? How would I cargo crawl across the ground? And I used to practice those things simply because I needed to know how I could do it at the age I was going in. So if he was from the time he was like 5 in the mindset of Survivor, it's a leg up on older players.
Yeah, like I definitely could attest to that from me being someone who watched it since 7 when most kids were sitting there watching cartoons. Yeah, it puts your mind in a different perspective when you play almost everything as the game of Survivor sometimes. But like I said, for me, like I spoke on a little bit earlier, Xander comes across very like nonchalant and do what's betterment for the tribe, but is deep down inside playing that game. So his threat level doesn't like shine like a Ozzy would in that day and age, and Malcolm's. He's honestly sitting back, doing what Winfield, I'm young, but really is playing the game. As you can see, he risked his vote and got him an extra vote, but none of his tribe mates would ever sit there and think he did. But he told the truth, though. Like, it's crazy. And his thought process his explanation for it was amazing. Because for me, my whole ride back on that boat would be like, what am I going to tell my tribe? They're not going to believe me. And I'm sitting there processing it how I would be able to do it. And for him to do it so eloquently and so smooth, where everybody was like, oh my God, there's no way Xander is lying. Because he wasn't lying. Like, it was awesome.
Well, I think he can use his angelic look to his benefit. Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at him and he's so nice and, sweet and angelic that he's, going to be able to use that.
Absolutely. And that's so true, Lance. Like, he told the truth. He did the exact opposite of JD, JD did the essential same move as him, but then did a different repercussion from that move. And right. I got to tell you, I think a lot of players that I've watched, their instinct would have been to lie, and probably lie in a way that would get them caught. And I don't think if their instinct was to tell the truth, I don't think they would have told the truth to everyone. I think usually players will tell select people. So there's something going on. He's smart. He's got the instincts. And let's see if this future type of Survivor player, somebody who's lived through, the entire series as their life, really is the new archetype of a winner of Survivor. I didn't start at the beginning of the alphabet, clearly. So here we are at Brad. Brad's our 50-year-old first player ever from Wyoming. Can you believe it took 41 seasons to get a rancher? And Brad's got his opinions. He didn't seem very flexible to me.
Well, when I was reading up on the different cast members, he said that he never really watched Survivor until one season ago. Just the last one. And then he thought, oh, that's great. So whether that was just a storyline or not, but it means that he really doesn't really know unless he really watched it throughout quarantine. And of course, when you're in casting, you're given a whole bunch of seasons to watch. So he's kind of like, I don't know, he's like an innocent newbie that really doesn't know some of the manipulation and all that. He's just there to play it.
Yeah,
And I was actually rooting for him. I hope he doesn't keep putting his foot in his mouth.
yeah.
Because I wanted to see him go far.
Yeah, so many of the players like even put a pin on like he's playing that old school game of Survivor where the truth is the way to go, and not realizing that you have to lie, cheat, and still manipulate to get yourself to the end of the game. I don't see him having that like it factor to do it. So I could easily like the vote literally almost fell down on him just by mentioning Shan's name, and so that could have totally blew up in his face. Look how easily, Shan put the vote on Sarah. Shan could easily put the vote on Brad, but JD basically saved that because she wants to work with JD. So it's like, okay, if I keep JD and JD's number one is Brad, maybe we can work something out a little bit better, stuff like that. So
Brad was surprised. I mean, you saw him kind of like do a double take when they heard his name.
Yeah.
And I think it's because he's an innocent survivor. He doesn't get it because he hasn't, if it's true, he hasn't watched much. Because I remember when I was, when first I was in my camp, I went for a Makoro, which was the African boat there. Maddie and I went out for a paddle because nobody else could. They kept falling out into the water. So Maddie and I both know how to do that sort of thing. So we went out paddling, and I know he was spinning me a yarn, or maybe not, but he says, I haven't a clue what the Survivor thing's all about. Never watched it, not interested, don't know what I'm doing here. And I'm thinking, yeah, you're either, full of shit, excuse me, or you really are, you're already playing me. I couldn't quite decide. Look where he went. Yeah, totally surprised.
I kind of like this relationship of like a Brad and JD to see if that would develop further. This 20-year-old and a 50-year-old, they're a generation apart. Could these worlds collide and create a beautiful alliance of an older player who doesn't know much about Survivor and a younger player who actually knows a lot? Can he teach somebody who's older how to play the game? And can they be an asset for each other?
That's a great point.
It would be a kind of a cool storyline to watch play out in some ways.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that specifically now because I'm going to see how that does play out. I'll think of you, Kirk, every time and say, yep, you're right.
We'll see. I think we have just a couple more to talk about. Here is Danny. He is our celebrity of the season, our ex-NFL player. Ex-NFL at 33, already retired. God, that's got to be nice.
They retire so young these days.
Yeah. Retire and now go on reality television.
There you go.
Danny's a workhorse. He's not afraid to step up for the tribe right at the start of the game. I think that's going to come from being a competitor in the NFL. You're always going to step up when a challenge is in front of you.
And also, I think he's got the team mentality as well, coming from a team sport. I mean, there's, you can't play football alone, and you can't really play Survivor alone.
Yeah, and he gives off that very nice vibe, like you said, that team mentality. That's why I think the players picked up Xander, because I feel JD was going to pick risk as well, regardless. But Xander picked up if like anyone is going to protect their vote, it's going to be Danny. So let me go ahead and risk my vote so I can gain it, because Danny is going to think about the betterment for the group, and him losing a vote in a tribal 6 is not really ideal for him. So I think I would have picked up on that as well and risked mine, just because Danny, throughout the walk, he was very very forthcoming and very much wants to learn about the different players. So it just he had that nice vibe.
Yeah, super nice. That's the cheerleader for your tribe. He was the ex-NFL, but he's got the whole team mentality going on for sure. Here's David, but in the show, we're going to be calling him by his last name, it sounds like. Vote. How do you say it?
I don't know. I kept wondering who they were talking about.
Yeah. Did I miss the clip where we're calling him by Voce? I
mean, they did that to a lot of people because Eric, we call him we call Eric by his last name. So it's like
Abraham.
We call him Abraham. So it's like until Jeff says it, I'm not going to know how to say it. Voce.
I don't know.
Voce?
It's a chop for Voce for me. He just give me the vibes where like, boy, you need to go. He's definitely not a Dr. Mike.
He's definitely not what?
Dr. Mike.
Dr. Mike, yeah. It's true. I don't know. I feel like he's one that didn't get the biggest edit either this episode. I didn't feel like I got to see a ton. But at the same time, I'm feeling like you, Lance. He wouldn't be the first pick for my alliance if I was on the which tribe is he on?
He's on
The Yase tribe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I'm in healthcare as well, and him being a neurosurgeon, I'm thinking I know how surgeons are, and neurosurgeons. I actually worked for one for a while, so I've got that. Like, I'm rooting for him because hey, we're in the same field. Not that I'm a neurosurgeon, but say medical, and so I'm thinking. And I don't know how much Survivor he's seen either. I didn't catch that in any of the interviews.
Yes.
And so to me, it seems like he's putting his foot in his mouth. And obviously a lot of that was behind the scenes anyway. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, I guess I'm rooting for him because he's in the same field as I am. And I'm sure he's had a hell of a year and a half.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We are very thankful. I come from a family of doctors and nurses as well, so we're thankful for everything our healthcare professionals have done over this time. Yeah, I feel like he's another one, like Liana, that I feel like I need to see more to form a really strong opinion on. But other than that, I probably wouldn't align with him.
Didn't get that much of an edit too much this episode.
That's so true. Yeah. And that's ironic because usually it's the tribes that go to tribal council that get the edit.
Right.
Rounding out with Deshaun, 26. He's another medical person. We have a med student from Miami.
Right.
Danny's buddy.
Yeah, I didn't. Nothing comes to mind too much about him. I'm going to have to certainly see more of him. Nothing struck me one way or the other.
Yeah, Deshaun was the one who immediately was the one who said, hey, I'll do it. Oh, Danny, you want to do it with me? Like, put the hero-like type mindset on him and Danny immediately, which I thought wasn't the best, but everyone played the game differently. Throughout me, learning about Deshaun, he's definitely someone that I resonated with a lot. I feel like that's how I would take my cast photo. I'll be smiling all bright like that, close to the same age. He's kind of like my spirit animal. I always find a spirit animal in the season. Davey is my other spirit animal, and we're really good friends now. And now Deshaun, I'm just hoping he could do really well. I'm rooting for him, and I can't wait to learn a little bit of his backstory because I can't wait to him talk about how he got into medicine and things like that. It's gonna be exciting because he didn't get his B-roll.
His video ahead of the game kind of set it for me, thinking, oh, this guy's nice. He's happy. He's gonna be fun and all of that. So it clicked more on his pre-game video than I actually clicked with him watching it tonight.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I don't want to do a cop-out and have a David answer. I want to see more from him. I feel like he's going to align with Danny for sure, unless something happens and something irritates that vibe going forward. I think we can see a strong 2. I already wrote, and I'm calling them D squared going forward. Until something happens, they are D squared. And I'm in to watch D squared go deep in this game. Okay, yes, we're back at Eric. So I know it's getting late. First off, Lance and Jillian, I'm super thankful you came on. I'd love to ask for you guys to do one more thing, to pick your favorites with me from the season. And I have a picture that has them all to do a quick draft.
Okay.
We're going to make it super quick because as the season goes on, I want to play a game within the game. And see which one of us correctly predicts the most people at the end of this game. And if it happens to be you, Lance, or you, Jillian, we're going to send you some live reality game swag later on, just to send you a little love for doing this first episode. So let me get this set up for us really quick. But how this is going to work, because it's a little bit different. We've got to watch the first episode. 2 people are eliminated. So, Lance, I've decided our special guest, who's actually been on Survivor, is going to get 1 extra person on her team. And we're just going to regretfully accept one of the voted out players each as we do this draft. And so, Jillian, you've officially earned the first advantage of Live Reality Games podcasts. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you. It's about the first time I've been awarded any first advantage. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. So, okay, I have to first find this. I might need Dustin's help. So, was there any before as we do this? Let's just segue really quick. Any predictions you guys have for the upcoming episode? Do you think anybody's in danger moving forward?
Oh, go ahead, Lance.
I think that Brad's gonna kind of want to know how his name eventually came up, and then I feel Shan's gonna have a lot of explaining to do. Jeannie's gonna be in the question mark. From the preview we've seen, it looks like Nassar, people are getting a little irritated, but that's what they like to do. It might not even be him. It could be someone totally different. So I don't know. I think the people that's in danger, because they're not going to constantly deal with it, is probably JD for me and Brad. If that tribe loses again. I think Shan's not going to constantly want to deal with both of them. She's calling the shots.
I could see Nasir getting himself kind of in deep water quickly too. I hope he doesn't, but I can see that. Now, the screen is up. We're ready to go. And so before I click something wrong and it disappears again, we're going to run right into this. Mm-hmm. How this is going to work, we're going to do a snake draft. But the first two people that Lance and I get are going to be the eliminated players. So, Jillian, essentially, you're going to get to pick your first two players off this list. But we're going to I'll take Abraham, because I was kind of vibing with him.
And I like
Sarah for Lance. So, Jillian, if you got to pick your perfect tribe. You're from a season where you got to start a pick for tribes.
I picked them non-perfect tribe. So I don't know if I'm going to be good at this.
Okay. Well, my fingers are crossed.
Okay.
Who would be your first pick or your first two picks? You get two people.
All right. So I would go with the singing Shar and Evie.
Oh no!
Why did you pick Chantel?
This is the channel of the Stantels. You picked her. Of course you did. I would too.
Of course you did. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Jillian, you've just ruined all my plans now.
No, sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, Lance, you are up next.
All right, so just because this person, I feel like their appeal is just going to work so well, and they're so young. Xander, I think he's going to kill it, so let me get Xander.
Okay, you're taking who I dubbed somebody who's really smart. I hope he doesn't give it away. I'm going to go with somebody who, it's like, I don't know if she can win, but I just feel her. And like I said, I'd quit my job and go work with you. So Jeannie, I dream of Jeannie. Come on over, baby. You're going to be on my tribe.
Yeah, I was gonna pick her next, so sorry.
Oh, okay. So tit for tat.
Oh.
So the way these work is because I'm on the end, I will pick again. So after this, I guess I will go with the flatulent queen.
Oh, Sid, I love her.
I'll go with Sid.
Okay.
And so then you're back up to Lance.
All right, so this person I feel is like so sweet and dainty, and I think that's the vibe I'm going with my tribe. It's going to be Erica.
Oh yes, okay. And Gillian, you're going to have two picks again.
Oh, again, okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to throw a little monkey in the wrench here, or whatever, the wrench in the wheel, or whatever the word is. I'm going to pick JD.
Yes, Gillian.
Okay, good pick.
Go. And Brad.
Oh,
okay.
You picked the pair. Okay.
Okay. You an alliance on your team. I see. Possible alliance.
A hospital alliance. Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go and pick Ricard. I don't know why I let him go this long. I don't know why I let him go this long. But
I know, same.
they're a part of my tribe.
I'm so mad again. All right, so good choice. Let's see, who do I have left? Okay, so you know what? I'm going to take a risk with mine, and I'm going to go with kind of the under-edited roles for this one. So I'm going to go with Liana.
Yes, good pick.
Because we just don't know, right? She could go in so many directions. It seems like it could be a youthful season. We'll see. And then after that, I'm going to go with, I've got a lot of hope for, but I want to see more from Deshawn. So I'm going to pick Deshawn as well.
Okay, you took my pick. That's bad.
Sorry.
My spirit animal. So nice back up to me. So I got either Heather, David, Sarah, Tip. I feel like I'm gonna get rid of Tip. I'll go Danny because I see him at least making murder. I'll go Danny.
Perfect. Okay, so Jillian, these are your last 2 picks from this pile.
Okay, so because I don't want Heather left standing, I'll take Heather. And Nassar.
Okay, good.
Okay, all right. Well-balanced team you have there.
Well, I don't know about that.
I'm looking at gender and tribe division. So, Lance, who is going to be the last member of your team? And then essentially, who are you choosing to go onto my team as well?
Yep. So I'm gonna round it out and finish my team and make it 3-3. Give me Tiffany.
Oh no.
Yeah. She's.
I mean, yay, Vochi. Vochi, I'm sure you're such a pleasurable fellow neurosurgeon. If I need help or if somebody needs help with their brain, we'll definitely recommend you. Sorry you were last.
And we all came out even 3-3. 3-3 females. Look at us.
Oh, we're so diverse. We're so inclusive. We're so vibing with the season. Actually, when Probst said the word vibe, I felt like it's officially 2021. Yeah, 2021. Like Probst said vibe. He's got long hair. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. So did you see that I have quarantine hair as well?
Oh,
I haven't had it cut for 1.5 years.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's not the Jillian I remember.
I love it.
If I let it loose, I look like Hagrid.
And it's very important for Lance and I to keep our hair on point as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we both have hats on. So, Jillian, Lance, this is one of the longest ones I've ever done. We're almost on 2 hours. I apologize for taking that much time, but it was seriously a pleasure. Again, if you want to know more information about Reality Rally, you need to click the link in the box below on Facebook or YouTube, or just send us a message at Live Reality Games, or just head over to Reality Rally to their website, where you're going to find all the information and videos you want. Lance, you're going to see very soon, upcoming as a cast member of Live to Give, and that's all I can say. You'll see what happens. And I'm not in anything coming up soon, but you're going to see me once a week on these podcasts. So I'll be right here. Can't wait to see you folks. Thanks again for joining. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you guys so much, and good seeing you again, Lance.
Good seeing you also.
And thank you, Kirk. Thank you.